Hey data fans, Reed here. Today I'm going to walk you through a great solution when you're using darker colors either with background colors or data bars on tables in Power BI. Now the issue you can see here is that when you use dark colors with those two types of conditional formatting, it can kind of make the text difficult to read. So my solution is to apply an additional set of logic to change the color of the font as the primary formatting gets darker, allowing you to maintain readability of the font with any color. So let's go ahead and hop into Power BI and get started. So as you can see on the table over here, we have two sets of font colors. One that is being applied here when we have conditional formatting being applied to the background, where after a certain threshold of the value, the font color changes from black to white as the font gets darker. So it allows it to maintain that readability. Similarly, for this one over here with the data bars, with the dark data bar, I've actually had the font change to something like a light gray. Now the reason I did this is if you notice, the light gray also shows up both with a white background and the dark background. So I needed to pick something in the middle so it can display when the data bar is partially covering this. And as well, I just created a calculation where I checked to see whatever the value was as a comparison to the max. And at some point when this data bar starts to cross over the value, I wanted to change to that gray color, but not before, where it should still say with just a white background, the color for black for this specific font and any of the ones below that. So let's go ahead and start by sales and take a look. As you can see, what we actually have an option to do with conditional formatting is we can apply a few different ones. If I go to remove, you'll see that I've actually applied background and font. So let's actually come over to conditional formatting. Just as a reminder, let's take a look at the background color first. And all I'm doing here is doing a gradient of min to max. Now, normally as an alternative, you could pick a color light enough that even when it gets to that darkness, the font color of black still shows up. But in this case, I want to show a really dark color to have a very nice large gradient between the two of them, but still a font color that will then pop up with these darker colors. So let's close out of this, come back to sales, go to conditional formatting again, go to font color this time. And what I've done in here is set up a rules set. Now there's two rules that I did. What I determined based off of the values in here is I just wanted to see basically between 0 to 100% of whatever the value range is, at some point it needs to toggle. And right around here is approximately the 25% mark, which is where it's starting to get dark enough that I wanted to change the color. Now this is completely up to you how much you want to set it for any of the ranges in here, but I found that a binary just black and white one works pretty well. You can see if I adjust this over here, if I actually was to change this as an example to 45 and click OK, you'll see that it now keeps them black for a little bit darker, and then when it gets super dark, it starts to change that. So it's really up to you where you want that switch to happen. I liked it to switch around here, so that's why I chose the 25% mark as the changeover. But for the most part, that's pretty straightforward as far as that. Two rules go in, switch it between white to black. Now let's also take a look at the year-over-year sales calculation over here. Again, go to conditional formatting and font color. And as you can see here, a very similar setup. I basically just have two values in here for black and then that kind of light gray that allows it to show both on the white and the dark data bar. And there's just a little bit of trial and error to figure out what percentage that cutover is for this bar, given the column width will start to inch past this value here. So really just play around with this. Sometimes it might need to be set higher or lower depending on your range, but you really just got to find that little happy median of that number where that switchover needs to change between the two font colors based on the data bar size. So as you can see, this is pretty easy to apply, just given a set of rules for either the background color or the data bars, and it gives you a much greater range of colors to be able to use now rather than being limited because the font color has to stay either one single color or just is not something that's blended in well. So hopefully you find this useful. Please don't forget to like, comment, or share this video. Now, if this is your first time to my channel or you want to see more of these awesome videos, please click that subscribe and notification button. Also, feel free to show your support by becoming a channel member. Last but not least, you can download the file for today's video from my blog files page using the link down below. So until next time.